Hi, I'm Beck, and I am so excited to introduce to you all my first year-long challenge of 2026, Diverse Reads. This is the fifth year I've run the Diverse Reading Challenge, and it is one of my favourite things to work on and to take part in throughout the year. It should be suitable whether you're an experienced diverse reader or whether you're just starting to diversify your reading. There should be something on the challenge for everybody. Now, each year I lay the challenge out a little bit differently, and this year, since it's the fifth year, I decided to try and do slightly more prompts than usual. I went with 40 instead of 30, and I decided to separate it into slightly different categories. I tried to change it up because it tends to be similar sort of people that do the challenge all the time, although obviously anybody new is so welcome. And I just want to keep things fresh and keep pushing people's boundaries if possible. So this year, I'm going to try and put the graphic up here that I've got on Instagram. I've separated it into categories of things that tend to lack diversity or tend to lack representation of the diversity of on in literature in general. So the categories are bodies, minds, lives, places, identities, styles, and cross, which is sort of, I guess, an intersectional category. In addition, I have a little category which is called Recs, and that's some of my favourite creators that recommend diverse books. And they've each given me a prompt close to their heart to try and make sure that it's not just my opinions and the things that I think are important to focus on for diversity. I've tried to ask some of my friends and favourite creators for input as well. There are 5 prompts in every category, and you can start with whichever category you think you need to focus on the most, or you can just sort of do the card randomly and see where your reading takes you. There will be a group chat on Instagram if you're interested in the community aspect of a reading challenge. The challenge is also on Storygraph, and I'll link that in the description box down below. There's a Discord where there is a channel just for this challenge for recommendations. And on my Instagram, where I launched this challenge, I'll be putting book recommendations up throughout January for all of the prompts. There'll be a choice of a number of recommendations that you could choose from for the prompts. It is really important to remember that diverse reading is not a one-stop shop. And while this is just a challenge for fun, it is important that you are intentional with what you're reading all year round, out with challenges, out with fun things like this. But maybe with a little bit of community, this could be a start for you. What I have also made, I will show you here, is a little printout for those of you like me who do a little bit of journaling. So this might be backwards for you, I'm unsure. Should be okay. I'll hold it up to you so you can see it. So it's just all of the prompts in the challenge, and you can print this out. This is downloadable in my Linktree. You can print this out and you can put it in your journal, or you can write the books you intend to read for it. You can do it for planning, or you can do it for your actual log. And this will be available as well in my Linktree. I've got a Canva link for this or a download link for this available as well. There's also a document that I've made that is a table, and it has all of the prompts in it and a little bit of extra information in case you have any questions around the prompts. And there are some book recommendations in the document as well. All of that is available, as I said, linked down in the description box below or in my Linktree. I just wanted to maybe take a moment to have a look at some of my favourite prompts in the challenge while you're here with me anyway. So obviously, diverse bodies is something that's really important to me. Particularly fat activism in the top line of the challenge is something that I have found this year. I have finally, as a fat person, found the fat activism that speaks to me. I found a lot of fat activism kind of spoke about maybe what I would consider to be mid-sized bodies, but I found some fat activism this year and some writing around that I'll be recommending to everybody in January. And so I thought that this was an important prompt for me this year and for my growth. Similarly to it, beside it, I've got the MC has or has had major surgery. There is a possibility that I'll be having major surgery at some point this year. And so I wanted that to sort of reflect both my experience and to allow me to read some books that had that experience explored within them. If we go down to the minds, we have BIPOC autistic main character. I think that most of the representation of autism that I read tends to be a white main character, so that'll be a little interesting for some people to maybe push that boundary a little bit. I also have chronic migraines or headaches there, which is another thing that is personal to me. as I do have a disability and a brain condition, I do get chronic migraines and headaches because of that. I have also popped in there healing from or overcoming trauma. Another thing that is important to me and is close to my heart, and people who are close to me have been through significant trauma in the past couple of years and have overcome said trauma. And I would love to read about people like that. Any of these prompts could be fiction or non-fiction books that you choose, unless it says main character. And so I think that there's good opportunities to explore all sorts of different books here. If we go down to the next section where it's lives, one that is really particularly important to me in this one is the invisible chronic illness or disability, for reasons obviously mentioned already to you in the mind category. In terms of places, I think short story collection set some of your heritage links to might be challenging if you don't know exactly where your roots are or where you come from. But if that's the case, you could choose a short story set somewhere that perhaps you live, perhaps your family used to live. You can be a little more loose with the heritage if you don't know, but if you do know, that might be quite exciting for you to look into. And I love short stories. Moving on to identities, deaf culture is such a huge part of many deaf people and deaf people's families' lives. I went to a really interesting exhibition about deaf culture and essentially some things that have happened to discriminate against people who are deaf and the teaching of ASL and sign language in general when I was in London. And so deaf culture, I think, is something that is important to try and look for and to see represented in literature. I also really wanted to do a trans main character, and I thought a trans main character in romance might encourage some people to read trans main characters and things that are not memoirs and things that are not necessarily literary fiction, might push people outside that sort of comfort zone a little bit. When we go into the style section, second person narrative is my favourite thing ever. When I come across second person narrative in a book and I didn't know it was coming, it is such a treat, such a reward. I love that feeling of being addressed, or I love that feeling of seeing somebody being addressed and the personal nature of that. Love it so much. So that's popped in there personally because I enjoy it so much. And then in the sort of cross intersectionality section, I think that all of these particularly are things that I look for in my reading. But the Diverse Book Awards is a book prize that I've been following for a couple of years now, since its inception. And I asked them if they would be involved with being a prompt in this challenge, and they were really supportive. And so that's why they're there. You can find them on Instagram, and they have lists of their long lists, their short lists, plenty of titles and plenty of genres to choose from. And we already know about all the people in the bottom column, how they are people I look up to, people that I get recommendations from all the time, and people that are important to me. And I think that the recommendations that I have from these people usually are absolutely flawless. And so I wanted to give them the chance, and to give all of you the chance to be recommended a prompt by them to steer you in a direction they wanted to steer you in for their reading. So I hope some of you will consider taking part in this challenge. As I said, this is the first of 2 year-long challenges that I have. The second challenge is called the Trope Trials, and it is a fantasy only challenge that will be launched next week. So if that sounds like more your thing, keep an eye and an ear out for that. If you are interested in getting involved in Diverse Reads, just a reminder, the Storygraph is linked down below. You can say chat please on my Instagram post, and I'll add you to an Instagram chat of people taking part in it. There's also a Discord server, and in the Discord server, there is a channel dedicated to this challenge. Or you can just take part completely independently. You have your little printout, which is also available in my Linktree. And if you think that this looks like something that you would like to do, please let me know. So excited to be making a little video again for YouTube after quite a long time away from it, because I've not been having the best time with my mental health. So being brave, recording, trying to invite you all into this challenge, and I'll see you next week to launch the fantasy only one. Thank you so much for watching, and if you do fancy this challenge, let me know. Bye!